Hello, hello. This is the My Artifact episode number 3991, 92. Sorry, 92. Yeah, 92. Today's date is 9th of April 2000, 2026. It's been almost like 9:20 p.m. All right, let's just jump into the question. Let's go. All right, the question is: during conversation, do I interrupt, finish sentences, or mentally prepared replying instead of fully listening? Oh, that's a really good question. Okay, first of all, what exactly is this question and why am I asking this question to myself? Couple of days ago, I read a book, um, How to Win and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It was a really amazing book. Highly recommend to you to read this book. Basically, is this thing na ki I read this book and I wanted to implement the value that book taught me. How do I supposed to do that? By asking question to myself and giving the honest answer. So I went to ChatGPT, kind of like I said that ki I read this book, I wanted to implement the value. Suggest me 20 question. ChatGPT kind of like suggest me 20 question. This is one of those question. Now basically this question is mostly associated with the deep listening. Okay, yeah. Listening is a part of conversation. Okay, yeah. So it's actually because of that. Yeah. Now regarding about the question says during the conversation, do I interrupt, finish sentences, or mentally prepared to replied instead of fully listening? Have you ever kind of like a feel like that ki like when someone kind of like is talking and you have kind of like a somebody really good reply? Okay, yeah. Should you wait for finish that particular person or just interrupt and kind of like a somebody put your reply? Okay, what you will gonna do? Well, that's a kind of like a somebody, it's not a very tricky question. Like basically it's just saying if you want to like win the people, influence the people, or yeah, win the people. Okay, yeah, conversation is kind of like a really best part. Okay, yeah, and listening is one of the really essential part of conversation. Sometimes it is really essential to understand, listen. Okay, yeah, when you listen you do conversation very much better way. Now basically is this thing na ki it's true, yeah, it's true that ki if you wanted to build the conversation you have to be listen, but this scenario is always not right all the time. And also this kind of like a things is very delusion, like it's not kind of like a telling the full picture. Okay, let me kind of like explain. So let's just say you are kind of like a talking with your girlfriend. Okay, yeah. So in that particular moment, obviously you have to listen. Okay, yeah, because this is the very essential person in your life, and you wanted to build the relationship. Relationship is actually built by the conversation. So kind of like a listen what she says, then reply, understand, and then reply. Okay. Now, okay, some certain scenario might be very different. Okay, like basically this is na ki like a conversation is a kind of like a very different. Okay, yeah, sometimes we talk and sometimes we do conversation. That's a difference between talk and conversation. Okay, yeah. Conversation, it's a kind of like a things that we've been talking about something that is called conversation. Okay, yeah. And talk means just simple talk. Okay, yeah, just like a casual talk or kind of like a talk. Okay, yeah, obviously is this thing whatever we are talking it's a conversation, but most of the time it just kind of like somebody is this thing that he let me kind of like simply explain. Okay, yeah. So okay, regarding about the girlfriend, I don't really have any experience regarding about that. Okay, yeah. Regarding about how do we should supposed to be talk with your girlfriend and communication and the conversation and listening part, I don't know. I haven't really experienced that particular thing, so I don't know that particular stuff. Okay, yeah. But I do experience, so I will gonna tell you. Okay, yeah. So there is one of my friend, okay, yeah, who loves talk. Like he loves talking. Okay, yeah. Like basically he thinks that communication means talking, and he just talk. He won't shut up. Literally, he just won't shut up. And I am not the only one. I am not the only one that I encountered such kind of like a people. Obviously, you are encountered such kind of like a people too. Like they are talk, and they just won't shut up. Like literally won't shut up. They just talk, 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 talk. Okay, huh? And sometimes I just don't really understand that key. And basically this thing na ki, like let's just say they are talking. Okay, like let's just say they are kind of like talking about something, whatever it is. Okay, yeah. But is this thing na ki sometimes they are kind of like talking about something that they don't really explain what exactly is this thing that they are talking. Okay, yeah. Like I don't know. Okay, yeah. So we've been actually talking about kind of like a simply Iran-US war. Okay, yeah. Suddenly he was kind of like a talking about kind of like a personal stuff, and then suddenly he was kind of like a talking about some sort of motivational. And the way that he shifted the topic, and and basically doesn't really wait for me reply. Like he just kept talking, and I just like, what should I supposed to do? He won't let me give the space. He won't let me give a breathing space to kind of like a just okay, like just wait. I'm gonna do reply, but no, he just talk. And okay, so I don't know how do I supposed to interact, because I wanted to conversation. I wanted to talk. I am ready for listening, but he just not stop at all. Okay, and that is a kind of like a simply just like I don't know. Okay, yeah. Probably you might gonna kind of like a feel like that kind of like some people too. Okay, yeah. But regarding about this question, the question is not about them. The question is about how to win and influence people. Obviously, is this saying this is your friend? That means he is your friend. He is already with you. Okay, yeah. What I'm trying to tell you is this thing, na, ki use this technique, means use this conversation or kind of like a listening part and things and that with kind of like a somebody like basically is this thing, na, it's about the people. Okay, like basically is this thing, na. Okay, how like a this like a technique, like a basically the stuff that I'm trying to tell you is this thing that ki you should supposed to be wait for other person finish what he was kind of like a talking, understand, listen. Okay, listening is one of the important part of communication. Okay, now when would you supposed to use this technique and who is that particular person? Now if you are teacher, okay, yeah, it is really essential when you interact with your student, you have to do this technique. Okay, yeah. Make sure that your student should supposed to be talk. Make sure is a two-way of communication will gonna happen, so that student will gonna kind of like learn more. And in the teacher field, if you use this technique, you will kind of like a somebody you teaching much more better way. Okay, yeah. In professional, you have to do this. In the professionalism, your colleague, your kind of like a senior people or whoever that particular people, let them finish what they are kind of like a talking. Okay, and then you talk. When you try to build your network, you are kind of like a particular person who are kind of like a somebody network manager or something. Okay, yeah. Then probably when you want to build your network, you have to apply this. When you have interact with so many kind of like a good people, like a CEO or kind of like a things, use this technique. Let them kind of like a somebody finish what they kind of like a talk. Okay, yeah. Because let me tell you one thing, now it is a kind of like a really best way. How good person you are is not defined by your resume, or it's not defined by your physical structure. It's defined by how you talk. Okay, yeah. You can impress people by communication, the way that you talk, and that is utmost essential, dude. Okay, yeah. Like having little bit of bit having little bit of politeness, but little bit of confidence too, little bit of kind of like a something existing professionalism too. You will not going to talk about shit all the time. Make sure every word choose very wisely. Make sure the whatever the stuff that you could supposed to be say, it kind of like a meant for something, not just kind of like a somebody like a like a हवा में बात कर रहे, like a it doesn't really have any kind of like a somebody that की कोई हाथ पैर नहीं कुछ भी नहीं. So yeah, get it. So how do I supposed to implement this technique? How do I supposed to implement? Like what if your friend is kind of like a with you and he was kind of like talking, so what should you supposed to do? Would you kind of like a somebody just let him talk, or what should you supposed to do? Well, he loved to talk. Okay, yeah. And I tried to give reply, but he would not listen. Like not listen means what? Like I don't know how do I supposed to explain this thing. Like some people are really love to talk, and he is the one of those people who just love to talk. Okay, yeah. So like I don't know how do I supposed to kind of like somebody give any kind of like somebody suggestion. Okay, yeah. Is this thing like you just understand, and whatever whenever you will kind of like have breathing space, or if he really want to kind of like a reply, just yeah, right. So yeah, this is I would gonna do regarding about the kind of like a simply during the conversation, do I interrupt finish sentences or mentally preparing for reply instead of fully listening? Well, I would make sure that I would kind of like a listening, but still it is also kind of like a depend on so many factor, because like as I mentioned now, it's not like a what if multiple people are actually there. Like basically you went to the wedding, group of friends over there. Now in that moment, how should you supposed to do conversation? Because let's just say 4 or 5 people are kind of like a gathered together, that is not became a conversation, that is became a chaos. Like everyone are kind of like a talking this and that and that and that and that. Okay, no one wants to listen. Okay, and if you wait for listening, if you wait for reply, you are just waiting, and it's not. So it's not really that cute, just kind of like a barge in and kind of like interrupt. Just like you will get that breathing space, just couple of moment, or sometimes silence would be much more better, dude. Okay, yeah. Like if you are kind of like a being really silenced now, it automatically increases the value even if you haven't said any kind of like a word. Let me tell you one thing now, the words are kind of like a some your currency. The more you speak, more you lose. Okay, so basically is this thing na ki use every words very wisely regarding about things. Okay, so what would I supposed to do? I would gonna make sure I would listen more. Okay, yeah. Next question. Like I wanted to continue so many questions, because like yeah, can I recall the exact emotion someone expressed in the recent conversation? Look, no, I just wanted to kind of like keep one question per episode. Like I would not gonna kind of like continue multiple question in one episode, because of that key it is not. Okay, yeah. Like when I wanted to talk about the one question per episode, then I would kind of like explain much more vividly, nicely, and things and that and that. So yeah. So yeah. So this is it. This end. I should supposed to be end here, and thank you.